Okay, let's drag the audio in. So the first thing I do every time I work here is just mix with Ozone. It's got everything in it. Ozone 11, you can use anything, Ozone 10 as well, but 11 is the best. And let's simply play the part that we like the most. So 174, set the BPM correctly. Okay, and let's just loop this bit for the audio to play and analyze the file. Can clearly see is asking us to increase the mid-range. We're gonna turn this off, and the master rebalance for the vocals, we don't need that. The impact module, we don't need it. The impact module, what does it do is just tames the transients. It pulls the transients down, so we don't need that. We have the major, which is no adjustments at all, just a slight improvement. So what we did is find the clarity module and the stabilizer we don't need. This is what we need, the dynamic EQ. Let's remove everything. This is what we after, the dynamic EQ from this. And now let's add the exciter and dynamics module after that. You can work with the triode, or let's find a different. That's a bit too much. Let's use the dual triode here for the crispness of it, like this. Here we can only use the warmth or the analog. Analog is more transparent. Make sure you keep the oversampling on, yes. Like this. In major. Anything that goes below 170, we put it into mono, not fully, just a bit more. We need just around this side. And on the correlation meter, here, you must not have information going to -1, because that's gonna cause phase cancellation, and you don't want that. Basically, the signal cuts itself out, and you get silence. So recover sides, it says adjust the gain of the recovered side signal. Let's have this play at around 0. Let's put 0.7 dB for the master rebalance of the vocals. Let's try something else, the dynamics. On the compression, for the low end, you want to have a slow attack and a slow release. Right, let's see. Right, for the dynamics, we put the limiter on the low end, -2. And around around 5 dB of gain reduction should be fine. Here we use the knee, so we can actually get half of the amount we have here. So it basically acts as a slope. 1.6 for the low end. Let's use a slow attack and a slow release. Let's say 47, because we're dealing with the sharp, and then 59 a bit later. That's for the compressor, same settings. With a soft knee, okay? Here for the mid-range. Same 1.7, let's say 1.2 for the compressor. Let's say 1.2. 14 with 37. Because we need to have this area respond very rapidly to the signal. With a steeper knee, so the effects can take place faster. Like this. And no more than 2 dB of gain reduction. No limiter needed here. Actually 0.5. We need to cap this with the limiter for the maximizing process, like this. We need a harsher compression here for faster attack and a faster release even than here. 1337, 922. One 6. You can already hear the difference. Like this. It should take effects at around 82%, 81, let's say 80. Around here. Let's make this area a bit wider. Gain a bit more. Let's have a look on a span. Make sure you choose the mid-size stereo preset. This area needs to be lowered a bit more. 9.9K. There we go. Let's go with 0.7 dB. I think we got too much excitement in here, that's why we're gonna lower it from here as well. I'm gonna keep this high and just play with the mix. Okay, you can hear the difference, I swear, in the high end. Let's play with the dynamics a bit more. Maximum of 2 dB of gain reduction. That's the kick pumping, you know. I think we need a few more dBs in here. Let's say 2 dBs. Let's increase the dBs of the low end. We basically increase this until it reaches the threshold we want. Here. $1K, we need more presence in there. Another trick you can use is just look at these grid. Look at this invisible grid. You know, there is a line here, a line there, and then one line there, one line there. And then there is a gap in here. It's the same gap as here. So you can use the same thing. Literally, you can just look. If you see here, you have a gap. There's a square, another square. It's the whole column. There's another one and there's another one. Same here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how they divide the spectrum. 20, 50, 120, 500, 1K, 2, 5, 10, and so on. Same here. 100. Here's at the 100 it starts, okay? 1K, same. 1K, you have a whole space. That's where the presence is. 10K as well for the high end. So we established 1K. That's what we need. No more than 2 dB maximum when you're mastering. We lower from here a bit more and we let it breathe from the dynamic EQ. And now we have a perfectly balanced spectrum. Here we have some phase issues, so we go into the we gotta load another instance of Pro Q4, okay, and we have to natural phase. We gotta work with the linear phase, medium. We go on to high. Doesn't matter if we have the CPU crackling, we are mastering, so we need that quality. So 642, paste that in there, and it's gonna take us here, put this on the sides and just simply drop it. You know, make the Q a bit steeper. So what it does basically is fixing the phase, okay? So what we're aiming for is just create for the side signal a clear dynamics, a dynamic notch or bell that's acting every time it has a tendency to leak into stereo. So we gotta catch it in time, and the dynamic is doing that. And also conversely, it lets it breathe whenever it doesn't need to act on it, okay? That looks nice. This is what you gotta look for when you're mastering and when you're actually mixing the track. You're aiming for this curve, this type of curve. Let's load the Pro L2. Let's choose a preset. Transparent extra. Of course, there isn't transparent in the mixing and everything. Transparent extra EDM. Let's see what it does. Let's check with the inside. So we have 0 dB on the true peak. So the true peak basically, true peak limiting, it says when enabled, true peak limiting ensures that the limiting process takes true peaks into account and ensures that the final true peak output level won't exceed the current ceiling set by the output level parameter in the bottom bar, which is this one here, output level. Right, we don't need to push this any further. However, there is one more trick we can do. That is, take this, shift and click and drag it and copy it. Make these unique, and let's put this on number 2. We put this on number 1 and they all go track 2. Let's choose a different color. And this is the number 1. Let's pick a blue for this. The Logic Pro Blue. Mouse wheel on it. And we're gonna get into this menu, track 1. Now, on the track 2, On the track 2, what we're gonna do now is just New York compression. So we're gonna take this signal, which is gonna be heavily compressed with the limiter, and blend it into the other one, into the first one, slightly. You know, let's see if we got the preset. Drum compression. Like basically heavy compression with some saturation on it, you know. Okay, so we leave that like that. We need like a very compressed ratio, like 9:1, and a slow attack, a slow release for the pumping effects. Let's say we're working with the lowest fundamental. So 40 something up to 50, and then 50 around 50. Sustain window, play with this properly, see how it sounds better. So the attack and release takes the priority over the sustain. Let's slow down EQ, make sure it's in linear phase. And let's chop what we don't need from it. Basically, the mud, remove the mud. That is between 100 and 200, like this. 60 dBs or 70 dBs should be fine. Not too much high end. Let's choose -3 dB. And we keep this here, not like this, but like so, you know, because the Pro Q2 likes to make phase issues, especially in the low end. And when we're talking about mastering, it's very important. Linear phase. Visualize the phase rotation, and you see, this is what I'm saying about. It likes to create phase issues. It's mad. Cut it around 26 Hertz. That should be fine. Now what we do is accentuate the presence of the thingy. It was about between a K and 2K by 2 dBs. And now we take away the 3 between 3K and 3.5K. That's the harshness. You see the phase? It creates, this is the curve. It adds up onto that. So just so you know. No more. When you enable the linear phase here. But remember, it's gonna take a lot of CPU power. You see, the limiter is not struggling to work as much when we add the Pro Q before the limiter. Right, now that we have the track set, we let the first one play. We gotta turn it down, let's say 4 or 5 dB, and then we blend the other one in slowly. Because if we keep this here and we blend this like this, it's gonna load too much the instruments on the bus, on the master, like this. And that's too much, that was clipping. So -5 dB, and we go with this one slowly, while watching the inside and the span to see where they peak. Got it? Let's see. you can clearly see there is a difference in the process. So parallel blending with a New York compression can work wonders, right? So 2 dB full scale, or actually without and that's how you master the whole thing. You don't need to do too much EQing and too much dynamic control if you have a good mix. So remember that. Even this I think is too much. Yeah, even this I think is too much, but I think it emphasizes the vocals a bit and everything. Because remember, in the mix we got most of the low end and the high end of the vocals. And most of their presence is here. So you gotta remember that as well. In major wise, yeah, it's good to have everything in mono from, let's say, 200 Hertz as it has corrected us. But I think, yeah, that's it. The exciter plays a very important part. Let's check this. Let me close this a bit. It's the UI, you know. Make sure you put these things in the right order, so let's go over them. So the master rebalance, what it does is just accentuates the vocals. It improves these harmonics. You have the delta function there and the solo button. Next, dynamic. The dynamics are taming the kick and are letting the mix breathe whenever we don't need it. We need these to be removed on different parts of the mix. Yeah, here. And then some of the harsh frequencies. This is the dynamic EQ. It removes some of the frequency. It's kind of cleaning up the whole thing. Before the exciter. You hear it's kind of adding a lot of frequencies in there. Okay. So the exciter basically adds harmonics, adds upper harmonics for more richness of the whole thing, depending on the mode, on the algorithm we choose to sprinkle over. In the high end, we needed the dual triode, not the other one, the triode. Here, the warmth, the analog, and these are less harsher on the mix. They are more transparent and they add more character and warmth, as they say. The analog as well is transparent but adds upper harmonics that are not distorted that much. They are more cleaner than the other ones. The major, I said, on the major we put below 200 Hertz into mono, and here we gotta just check the correlation meter to not go over 0, because that's gonna be cancelled. The phase cancellation takes place after the 0, so basically the sound cancels itself out. We can even push it a bit more. Yep. Working properly, so it does the right thing. Right, let's check this as well with the delta. Now let's check the dynamics. What we're doing with the dynamics is just softly controlling everything with a slow attack and slow release on the low end, while progressing with a fast attack and a faster release the faster we go towards the high end. I forgot to put this here, but the effect is just a very tiny bit, so we can leave it like that. We also have a band gain where we add according to what we need in the mix. As we can clearly see on the spanner, we needed more 4.2 dBs and we had to add it so we can hit the target. Like here. So we put it down. There's nothing there, so we had to put it back, you know. And that's it, the equalizer again, where we needed more presence and richness. It does just the extra 0.5 dB, so it does what it should be doing, right? Everything else is fine. We have the clarity module, the impact, the low end focus, but we don't need those because the mix is quite good. The stabilizer, the spectral shaper, the nothing else that matters mostly. What else I want to talk about is should stay on +1 and that's it. And let's dial this back again. Let's say 3 dB from 10 to -13.5 and we leave it like that. On the master channel though, let's check the sound with the Pro Q2 in stereo so we can hear just the stereo information, like just the very stereo information, like this. I think it's clean. The mix is good because we've done a proper job in mixing it in the mix down and also mastering it. So we just gotta delete that and that's it. This is the final mix. That's how I would export it, you know. There was some other stuff I wanted to show you before we wrap this up. Is about the transient enhancer. So in the maximizer, you have the transient emphasis. But this requires a lower input by 1.6, let's say 4 dBs. So we see the modern mode has got a faster attack and release, so it's mostly focused on the transients basically. Yeah, I think it's fine. The problem is I think it's too much transient emphasis. In this track in this case, I still think it's missing a low end layer and also, yeah, something to fill up this gap here. But I think we are quite okay. So let's take this peak off 600 and then I think we're good to go. 600, how much is this? I think it could be the same thing. Let's check. Could be on the same thing. Control and right click, double click in there, Control V here. And just dial this down and then from the dynamic. You see what I was saying about the low fundamental? So this part has got everything it needs because it should come down as it is now. And yeah, pretty much that's what you should aim for, a straight and a perfect line, alright? That was a process you can apply on all of your tracks and you're good to go from here with everything you've learned. Thank you for watching and I appreciate you for taking this course to improve your music production, and I hope I've done everything. I've done my best to the best of my knowledge to explain to you everything you needed to know to increase your quality of production and everything, bro. Please leave me a good review and I hope to see you in the next courses, or if not, I don't know, follow me to see behind the stories of my Instagram, and I hope to see you around. Like, you know, I'll be happy to know you as well. So I'll be happy to see what tracks you could be able to achieve with everything I've taught you in this course. So yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next thingies. Bye.